Defeat to Cadiz at the weekend. There are 7 changes made by Zinedine Zidane. Rodrigo, Jovic, Asenio, Valverde, Casemiro, Militao and Mendy all coming in. Well, Shakhtar were 5-1 winners in their most recent outing, a Ukrainian Premier League victory over Lviv. They make just the one change as Solomon comes into the 11. Real Madrid and Shakhtar Donetsk will both look to make a positive start to their 2020-21 Champions League campaign this evening. It's a 5:55 kickoff at the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium for this Group B encounter. Real Madrid come into this game off the back of a shock defeat to Cadiz at the weekend. There are 7 changes made by Zinedine Zidane. Rodrigo, Jovic, Asenio, Valverde, Casemiro, Militao and Mendy all coming in. Well, Shakhtar were 5-1 winners in their most recent outing, a Ukrainian Premier League victory over Lviv. They make just the one change as Solomon comes into the 11. Real Madrid and Shakhtar Donetsk will both look to make a positive start to their 2020-21 Champions League campaign this evening. It's a 5:55 kickoff at the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium for this Group B encounter. Real Madrid come into this game off the back of a shock defeat to Cadiz at the weekend. There are 7 changes made by Zinedine Zidane. Rodrigo, Jovic, Asenio, Valverde, Casemiro, Militao and Mendy all coming in. Well, Shakhtar were 5-1 winners in their most recent outing, a Ukrainian Premier League victory over Lviv. They make just the one change as Solomon comes into the 11. Real Madrid and Shakhtar Donetsk will both look to make a positive start to their 2020-21 Champions League campaign this evening. It's a 5:55 kickoff at the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium for this Group B encounter. Real Madrid come into this game off the back of a shock defeat to Cadiz at the weekend. There are 7 changes made by Zinedine Zidane. Rodrigo, Jovic, Asenio, Valverde, Casemiro, Militao and Mendy all coming in. Well, Shakhtar were 5-1 winners in their most recent outing, a Ukrainian Premier League victory over Lviv. They make just the one change as Solomon comes into the 11. Real Madrid and Shakhtar Donetsk will both look to make a positive start to their 2020-21 Champions League campaign this evening. It's a 5:55 kickoff at the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium for this Group B encounter. Real Madrid come into this game off the back of a shock defeat to Cadiz at the weekend. There are 7 changes made by Zinedine Zidane. Rodrigo, Jovic, Asenio, Valverde, Casemiro, Militao and Mendy all coming in. Well, Shakhtar were 5-1 winners in their most recent outing, a Ukrainian Premier League victory over Lviv. They make just the one change as Solomon comes into the 11. Real Madrid and Shakhtar Donetsk will both look to make a positive start to their 2020-21 Champions League campaign this evening. It's a 5:55 kickoff at the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium for this Group B encounter. Real Madrid come into this game off the back of a shock defeat to Cadiz at the weekend. There are 7 changes made by Zinedine Zidane. Rodrigo, Jovic, Asenio, Valverde, Casemiro, Militao and Mendy all coming in. Well, Shakhtar were 5-1 winners in their most recent outing, a Ukrainian Premier League victory over Lviv. They make just the one change as Solomon comes into the 11. Welcome along to this evening's coverage of the Champions League Group B game between Real Madrid and Shakhtar Donetsk. Myself, Bobby Jackson, taking you through this one as both sides look to get off to a positive start in this 2020-21 edition of the elite European competition. It's a game that's maybe been overshadowed a little bit, as most things seem to have been in the last 8 months or so, by COVID-19. Shakhtar confirming a huge number of positive tests over the last couple of days, 17 in total. Means they've travelled to Madrid, to the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium, where Los Blancos are currently playing their games, while the Santiago Bernabeu is refurbished with a depleted squad, and Shakhtar having to call on several youngsters who have never even made a first team appearance. Most of them named on the bench today, but notably no Junior Moraes in this Shakhtar Donetsk side today. He's been their top scorer for the last 2 seasons, with 23 goals across all competitions in each of those campaigns. 26 goals rather in each of those campaigns. No Tyson either, another key figure in this Shakhtar side, both of those helping Shakhtar through to the semi-finals of the Europa League last season, but they're going to have to make do with what they've got out there. They're up against a Real Madrid side who were stunned at the weekend, I think it's fair to say, in La Liga. A 1-0 loss at home against newly promoted Cadiz. Just a minute in here, Zinedine Zidane watches his side win a throw in, having seen Shakhtar Donetsk take kick-off. I'll take you through the changes in this game and the 11s as they stand. There are 7 changes for Real following that defeat last time out in La Liga. In defence, Mendy and Militao come in. Casemiro and Valverde enter the fray in midfield, and up at the top it's a fresh trio with Rodrigo, Jovic and Asenio, the attacking options. Karim Benzema, who was involved in that game last time out, has dropped to the bench, as has Isco, Nacho, Cruz, Vazquez and Junior Vinicius. Sergio Ramos, the only player who was available and played last time out, who's not in the matchday squad today. He's got a bit of a knee problem. So in full, Real Madrid are called firing goal and a backline of Mendy, Militao, Varane and Marcelo. It's then Modric, Casemiro and Valverde as a midfield three, with Rodrigo, Jovic and Asenio as the front three for Real Madrid. Looking at Shakhtar, just the one change. The manager has brought in Manor Solomon to play out wide on the left-hand side. He replaces Viktor Kovalenko in the starting 11. There were 5-1 winners over Lviv in the Ukrainian Premier League last time out. Kovalenko, who drops out, actually scored twice in that game. So in full, they go with Trubin in goal. He's making his Champions League debut tonight. Then it's Dodo, Kochalava, Bodnar and Kornienko through defence. Morelos, Macon, Tete, Antonio and Solomon make up a 5 in midfield, with Dentinho leading the line. Real Madrid just trying to settle into things at the moment, just around about 3 minutes gone. Over the halfway line, just with possession at the feet of Luka Modric. Exchanges passes with Jovic. He stayed with the club despite a great desire to depart over the summer months, whether it be on loan or permanently, but nothing really came to fruition. So he is still part of the setup here and steps in to replace Benzema this evening. Modric with a switch of play now, out to Mendy on this right-hand side, brought down nicely by the Frenchman, traditionally a left-back, but having to fill in at right-back this evening due to injuries. Shot comes in now and it's blocked away, their first opportunity of the game really, and it goes to Marco Asenio. A clear-cut chance, but the first half sight at goal, and Shakhtar were able to repel them. Both of these sides drawn in Group B of the Champions League this season. It's Inter Milan and Borussia Mönchengladbach, the other two outfits in Group B, looking for a place in the knockout stages from 2021. Has Marcelo now, nice little layoff, potential shot comes in, saved there by the legs of Anatoly Trubin. Real Madrid look to come again, but they'll just overrun this one. It's going to go behind for a goal kick, but that was some slick play from Real. Nice little back heel from Marcelo. The final shot coming in from Asenio. Started out on the right hand side, but he looped around the back there across to the left as that move really gathered some pace, and the 19-year-old between the sticks able to get down at his near post and turn it away with his leg. To see Shakhtar really get out of their own half with the ball at their feet, despite having kicked off this game. Understandable, it almost is damage limitation for them right from the outset. Unable to call on so many senior players. And Castro said that his side will still go out to play with the same intensity, and they'll look to stay true to their footballing beliefs. Difficult to do that though when you're able to rely on those key figures that you so often would. They've worked it quite nicely now though, and are over the halfway line. Out to the right flank, drop back to the skipper Morelos. He dribbles his way through midfield and sort of slalomed in and out of 2 or 3 Real Madrid players before the ball was knocked away from him. Picked up again though by Shakhtar. And go back into their own half this time with the Georgian Kochalava. Back then to Valery Bondar. Youth in the defensive areas for Shakhtar this evening. 19-year-old goalkeeper, a couple of 21-year-olds in defence as well, in the shape of Bondar and Viktor Kornienko. Here comes Shakhtar now over the halfway line. A little bit more space to play in. It comes out to this left-hand side with Kornienko. Up further down that flank, level with the edge of Real Madrid's box into the Israeli Solomon. And coming back through midfield out towards the right-hand side. They look confident and composed on the ball when they have been able to get it, Shakhtar. And they feel an extra motivation to perform tonight due to everything that has taken place. And concern to their teammates over the last few days. A strong challenge of the match here will lead to a free kick for Real Madrid. Then Tino catching his compatriot Casemiro. Not the worst challenge you'll ever see, but definitely a foul. And in the middle, called into action for the first time, referee Srđan Jovanovic, a Serbian official for tonight's game. Real take the free kick short and towards Jovic, who opens it up, looking for the switch of play, but haven't quite seen that Arsenio was holding his run, maybe waiting for something else to develop. So lack of communication means the ball will go through to goalkeeper Trubin. Looking to play it from the back. It's something that they have done ever since Luis Castro took over in 2019. The Portuguese did take them through to the semi-finals of the Europa League last season, having finished third in their Champions League group. And Manchester City and Atalanta, they went out of the Europa League against Inter Milan in the semi-finals. They'll get the chance to avenge that defeat in this season's Champions League, both having been drawn in Group B. Mendy now comes forward down the right, and he's well tackled there, but the official on this near touchline was quick to raise his flag against Kornienko. Certainly dived in, and he's picked up a yellow card for his troubles as well. That is an early marker to lay down from the officiating team. I feel that that challenge was worthy of a yellow, then we could be in for a fair few bookings tonight. Came from a bit of a distance and I suppose catches the man before he gets to the ball. It's a committed challenge, one that's maybe demonstrative of his years, a 21-year-old, and maybe as he develops in the game he decides that that's not the type of challenge you want to go flying into, because there was no immediate danger. Couple over the top of this set piece now in Arsenio and Modric. Modric looks favourite to take it. It's probably about 10 yards shy of the box, but right on the touchline on this right hand side. His clip into the box is just over the head of Varane. Played away as far as Fede Valverde. It's for a little reverse ball into the box. It's intercepted now. Shakhtar with a chance to maybe counter. That's good footwork by Dentinho, but then he asks far too much of his teammate. Real Madrid will sweep that one up at the back, going all the way through to Courtois. Modric can help it out towards this right hand side with Mondi. Arsenio back into Varane, the senior figure in that defence tonight, certainly in the heart of it. Varane, and a lovely sweeping ball here to the left hand side, but he's found Rodrigo in an offside position. That won't please Zinedine Zidane too much. He had the view across the whole width of the pitch and certainly didn't need to go early. There was a huge amount of space in behind for him to charge on into. Might be something to look out for. Shakhtar come very narrow on that far side of the pitch, so if that is going to be a theme of their game, that they'll open up the space and allow Real Madrid opportunity to have room in those areas, then a diagonal ball might be a bit of a theme in this game. Keep taken short by Shakhtar. We'll go back to goalkeeper Trubin. Out towards Kuchelava. Percentage ball down the line. Didn't work out favourably for them. It'll be a Real Madrid throw. And taken quickly. Varane through to Militao. Goes to Marcelo, standing captain for Real Madrid this evening. He is the vice captain, so easy for him to assume that position. Very senior figure now at Real Madrid. Had a set up with Los Blancos since 2013. In the absence of Sergio Ramos, they rely on him to be the leader out there. Modric to Jovic. First time ball laid back off into Modric. The Croatian then stumbles on the ball, and Shakhtar will look to come away again. They are a very good counter-attacking side, and it's carried on forward now by Marlos. He's got 4 in support. Shooting opportunity, maybe the just forced a little bit too wide. And the attempted low cross then is blocked, and Rodrigo will look to come away with it himself down the left-hand side. In fact, rather it's Militao with the number 3 on his back. He now finds Rodrigo, who just slows down a little bit, but it's a warning for Real Madrid. They are the heavy favourites for tonight's game, but Shakhtar still a very good counter-attacking team, and they cannot be overlooked in that fact, as we see Modric work it through to Casemiro. Monti looking for Jovic, who turns well on the ball initially, then flicks over the top, and an opportunity into the box, which is intercepted and well cut out by Kuchelova. Sergio Ramos not available tonight, but he is watching on from up in the stands at the training base that is the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium. And taken by Madrid down by the corner flag on the right hand side, but they've worked it pretty much all the way back to the halfway line. Now they recycle it further forwards with Marcelo. Up to Rodrigo. Exciting Brazilian. Just a cross goal by Marcelo, cleared away, and one doesn't quite have enough, in fact not even for the throw in. Marcelo has to hook it back in, goes straight through into the hands of goalkeeper Truban. Bit of a slow start to this game then. I would have thought maybe Real Madrid would come out of the traps quickly, knowing everything that's gone on with Shakhtar over the last few days, but so far that doesn't seem to be the game plan from Zinedine Zidane's side. Happy just to try and play their way into this match. Just over 10 minutes gone and no goals yet. It is Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 0. In fact, no real clear-cut chances. There was a shot from the edge of the box by Asenio. That one was blocked away. Here comes Shakhtar actually on a counter-attack, and maybe opportunity to break the deadlock. Oh, it's saved by Courtois. Just couldn't seemingly adjust his feet there, Marlos. Looked as though he was the man in control of that situation, but Courtois closed off the angle and was able to turn away. Here come Real Madrid now at the other end. It's all of a sudden just blown wide open, this match. Shakhtar will stop Rodrigo in his tracks. They'll be able to walk it out of defence. That opportunity really came from nothing for Marlos. The midfielder had found a pocket of space, and it was just a hopeful long pass forward. Look at it again now. It's from midway through in their own half, and yeah, Marlos makes a little run in between full-back and central defender. None of the defenders were ever going to get back there to stop him, and he just doesn't open his body up enough. I think it does get caught under his feet. Courtois dropping to his right-hand side was pretty much able to save it with his knee. I think he had to go at it with a bit of an unorthodox type save. He attempted to do it with his hands. It was too close into his body, but save nonetheless. That is the best chance of the match so far, as Real Madrid send a free kick in here, and Truban showing his maybe nervousness as he punches away. It's a simple enough catch. Real Madrid are forced back towards the halfway line, and no immediate danger as Mondi comes out to this right hand side with Casemiro. Low ball into the near post. It's dealt with there by Shakhtar, who will look to come away with it. 15 minutes gone and one chance at either end. A big one really for Shakhtar just a moment ago, when it was a lovely run ghosting in from captain Marlos. No one had tracked him whatsoever, and as he was picked out, he charged into the box, just got the ball caught under his feet a little bit, couldn't open his body up enough as he looked to send it across to the far corner, sort of caressing the ball, and Thibaut Courtois was the equal to it, saving. Earlier on, there was an opportunity after a really slick move for Real Madrid when it ended. Marcelo back-heeling it through to Marco Asenio. He drilled the shot towards the near post. Again, the same result as what we saw at the other end, saved by the legs of goalkeeper Truban. Real Madrid dominating possession, and Shakhtar, although they've got a depleted squad today, still look a real threat on the counter-attack. It's going to take something extraordinary without their star men for Shakhtar to get anything from this game, but there are just a couple of signs that they might be able to nick one goal at least if they continue to press as they have done on that counter-attack. But at the moment, it is Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 0. Shakhtar currently trying to play it around in their own half. Real Madrid squeezing on forward, but well, they will now win the ball. It took them a few attempts to force that mistake. They came in and around the halfway line. Now they'll come out to this right-hand side with Mondi. Loose ball there that goes beyond Casemiro. Just slows the move down. There has been a lot of slow play so far in this game from Real Madrid. It's when they get to that final third they tend to pick up the pace a little bit, as they attempt to do now. Rodrigo's pass won't find Jovic though. He's nudged down to the floor as Shakhtar look to come out themselves. And a bit of luck there as Marcelo's interception rebounds and ricochets into Shakhtar possession. Now it comes away with Kornienko down this left-hand side. He's taken on a bit too much there, and he gets led off the hook as he hits the deck and wins the free kick. For a moment, as though Senyo had picked his pocket. And that's lovely footwork now coming away from Solomon down this left. Beats Mondi, then gets away from the second man, and I think has won a corner kick here. It's really good work from the wide man. Casemiro it was who eventually came and made the sliding challenge. He was able to put it behind for the corner kick. Thinking about taking it short is Solomon. He's got the option there of the skipper Marlos. Two Real Madrid players have come out to try and deal with the situation if it is taken short. Marlos actually has stepped off the field and it's rolled to him. He does now deliver and it comes off the Shakhtar head. It's going to go behind for a goal kick though. It's a decent opportunity, that one. Just didn't quite meet it as forcefully as he would have liked. Bondar. He gets up ahead of the defender. It looked to be Valverde. Bondar, I'd argue, probably should be doing better with that one in the end. And it's all in game so far. Not only giving Shakhtar a chance, but showing character. That kind of spirit that's required to get themselves something from this game. One bonus, I suppose, for Shakhtar is that their fitness level should be slightly better than that of their opponents. Here come Real Madrid once again, just turned away from goal momentarily. That's in towards Varane now. Modric on the right-hand side. Just into the feet of Asenio and hooked across the left-hand side. It's not a great ball from Luka Jovic, but managed to keep it alive, do Real. Elsewhere in the Champions League, Group A, Lokomotiv Moscow have taken a lead against Red Bull Salzburg. The other 5:55 kickoff on this second evening of Champions League football. First match day of the 2020-21 campaign. Cross comes in now from Real Madrid. Led away by Shakhtar. Varane out to Mondi on the right-hand side. Put back to the Frenchman. Real Madrid really compressing the play now. Every one of a Shakhtar persuasion is back in a defensive unit. The most attacking player in the shape of Dentinho is midway through his own half, so Real Madrid maybe just starting to get a grip on proceedings here. Certainly that dominance in possession that we saw from the early stages will start to tire Shakhtar, and it might be a patient approach that comes to fruition in the end for Real Madrid this evening. Free kick for Real wide on the left-hand side now. Varane has gone on forward, as has Militao. Fair height in there for both Modric and Asenio to try and aim for. Asenio just rolls the ball for Modric. He's going to drive it infield. Cuts it back out wide for Asenio. Now the cross can come in. Up go the heads. It's a Shakhtar one that deals with it initially. Then it's just bouncing around awkwardly in the box. It's scooped off for Shakhtar boot onto a Real hand. And referee Sergen Jovanovic decides that warrants a free kick for the visitors. A bit harsh really, but it has hit the hand. It was Dodo, the Shakhtar defender, who had attempted to bring it down, miscontrolled, then he sliced his clearance and it sort of came off a Real hand that was up at the side of his body from Rodrigo. Certainly no intent from him. Never have known the ball was going to move in that direction as it sliced away. Free kick now taken. It's launched long downfield and flicked on really nicely. Throw-in will eventually go towards Real Madrid. There's some good defensive work there from Militao. Out of defence by Varane, who looks for the long Hollywood-type pass for Monzi, but it's really poorly executed. Shakhtar can come out themselves. Monzi is slow to get back here, and that might just open up a chance for Shakhtar if they decide to press on down this left-hand side. They've opted to go back instead. Monzi is now pretty much back in position. Asenio had dropped in there to fill. I feel his defensive attributes probably not the equal of the Frenchman. Shakhtar go across the width of the field, approaching halfway out to the right hand side, and it'll bring Tete into play. We've not seen a great deal of him so far in this game. The majority of their attacks have come through this left hand side Shakhtar. All the way back to their goalkeeper Trubin this time. And once again via Bondar. It's a long ball looking for the left back who had crept forward. Kornienko does get his head to it, but can only send it on forward, and there was no one down the field there. So midway through this first half, Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 0. And Bobby Jackson taking you through this Champions League Group B encounter at the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium. A couple of big chances in the game so far. Both sides testing the goalkeepers, but they're coming up with the goal that would give them an advantage at this point. Varane, we've seen as much ball as anyone on the field as he picks it up again on the halfway line. Out towards the right hand side with Fede Valverde. Back to Varane again. Seems to be the linchpin at the moment, does Varane. They go left and then come back through the middle and then out to the right. I suppose that you have to give Shakhtar a little bit of credit that they're not allowing space for Real to play through them, keeping it congested in those areas. The midfielders dropping in nicely as well when the fullbacks have to step out. Kornienko and Dodo, obviously the likes of Marlos and Macon, come into those fullback slots just to offer and make sure that there is still a back four there that's solid and difficult to get through. Castro won't have had long to work with this side to make sure that they're firing on all cylinders tonight due to the absentees, the huge amount of absentees they've got following those positive COVID-19 tests, but certainly standing up strong at the moment to Real Madrid. Just over midway through this first half, it remains Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 0, and it's been a really solid defensive display from Shakhtar. They've found themselves on the back foot quite regularly. Real Madrid dominating in terms of possession, but they keep having to shuffle it left and then back through the middle out to the right because there's just no room to manoeuvre in. Really well drilled, you'd have to say, Luis Castro's side, and I suppose that gives them opportunity maybe as this game goes on, if they can frustrate a Real Madrid side who suffered a shock loss at this Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium at the weekend against Cadiz, then maybe they can do the same. They can potentially nick a goal as it goes on, but with all the absentees they've got tonight, I think they'll probably even take a point if that was possible. So credit to the visitors at the moment, and Real Madrid just not able to find that route through to goal and really test the young goalkeeper they've got between the sticks. Trubin is goalless. Shakhtar trying to play through the middle now, and it's a little bit sloppy, but they've been able to edge it out towards the right hand side. It falls to Solomon, and back into defence with Bonzar. And a long left-footed ball over the top, looking for the run of Dantinho, but out will come Courtois. It was just slightly overhit. And Courtois will drop it into the feet of Varane. Goes to Modric, happy to offer up his services in between the two central defenders. Now it's Marcelo who can be a little bit more direct, as he so often likes to be, coming forward down the left-hand side. As he moves it infield then, it's intercepted and brought away by Shakhtar. They'll come forwards themselves down this left flank. It's taken on initially by Macon, through to Antonio. Drop it back into defence now as Shakhtar in their traditional kit this evening look to try and get a few more bodies down the field and into a more attack-minded shape, something they haven't been able to do too often. Real Madrid putting in the yards, certainly not making life comfortable for the visitors when they've got possession in these deep areas of the field. Undoubtedly will want to win possession as high up the pitch as they can, give them every opportunity of going on to get that opening goal, but it's Shakhtar who have done really well. They've played through that sort of half press, and now they get to the edge of the box. Fantastic footwork, just trying to squeeze the shot away now, and they have got the opening goal. Shakhtar, against the odds, have broken the deadlock in this game. It all proved to be a little bit scrappy once they got to the final third, but it's a really accomplished finish that gets Shakhtar Donetsk ahead at the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium. Zinedine Zidane and Real Madrid are stunned. It's Tete with the final finish that finds a way past Thibaut Courtois across the face of goal, carried on and really tenacious play as they got to the edge of the area. It was then prodded across the face of goal into the path of Tete, who was able to find a way into the back of the net. It's Kornienko, the young fullback, who had charged on forward. He got away from Varane. Marcelo then came to meet him, but having left his post, Tete was all on his own, and he does the rest. Slots home. A potential shock on the cards here. It's Tete who gets Shakhtar in front. Half an hour gone, and Shakhtar Donetsk have broken the deadlock. Tete with the first time finish that beats Thibaut Courtois. All the credit in this move, though, has to go to the young left-back, Viktor Kornienko, who is involved on a couple of occasions in the build-up of the move. Works a 1-2, picks it back up on the edge of the box, shows strength and tenacity as he shrugs off the challenge of Rafael Varane. Marcelo then comes across to try and make the challenge as he breaks into the box, but Kornienko is able to squeeze the ball away to Tete, who's all on his own after Marcelo had left his post, and it's the first time cool finish into the back of the net that gets Shakhtar ahead. I mentioned before that they've had a few counter-attacks in this game. This one, though, was a really well-crafted move. It stuns Real Madrid, who are now trailing by 1-0. A chance down at the other end as well for Real. Jovic has a header on target, but it's tame, it's lacking any power, any real precision, and all day long goalkeeper Trubin will collect that one. He'll be happy if the efforts towards his target remain in that sort of vein between now and the end of this game, and I wonder if it changes at all the game plan for Shakhtar, who have sat in with that defensive shape. You'd imagine they'll continue to keep solid defensively, but going forward on those counter-attacks, you do question how brave and bold they might be now they've got the goal to give them an advantage. They might instead look to just be a little bit more patient and a little bit more negative potentially. We'll see. They have got the ball again here in and around the edge of their own box. Misplaced and then diving into the challenge. Referee said it was all fair and fine. Now the ball did appear to have been won. And had initially gone down there, Valverde. He's quickly back up to his feet, and Shakhtar back on the attack, out on the right hand side now with Dodo. Into the goal scorer, Tete. Exchange of passes there in midfield. Drop back in towards Marlos, the skipper. That first big chance of the game for Shakhtar. I felt at that moment that Real Madrid would be wrong to underestimate today's opponents, despite the huge absence of so many key players. No doubt the likes of Junior Moraes and Tyson, who have returned positive tests for COVID-19, will be sat at home back in the Ukraine, cheering their side on as they come again now down the right-hand side, just overrun a little bit there by Dodo. Will settle for the throw-in on the edge, or level with the edge of the Real Madrid box. A shake of the head from mid-air Militao. I think not happy that there's so much space initially for Shakhtar to try and play in. They've taken the throw. Goes back to Dodo. Lovely turn there on the edge of the box by Tete. Clearly buoyed by his goal. His shot saved, and it's turned home at the second attempt. Shakhtar on course for a major shock now. It's Dentinho who's able to score the goal. He just reacts quicker than anyone else in the box to the rebound after Tete, with a rifling shot, forced the save out of Thibaut Courtois. With 32 minutes gone, Dentinho is alive and aware to the loose ball, and he bundles it over with Courtois still on his backside, not able to make a real save. There's no question of an offside. In fact, it might even go down as an own goal. I wonder if Rafa Varane here has maybe got the touch on that one ahead of the attacker Dentinho. This one might clear it up a little bit more. I think it is an own goal. Rafa Varane trying his best to deny Dentinho the opportunity to get to the ball, but in the process he flicks it beyond his goalkeeper, and Shakhtar Donetsk lead Real Madrid at the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium by 2-0 with just over half an hour played. Well, it's now dreamland for Shakhtar, who have a 2-goal advantage over Real Madrid. No one gave them a chance today, with so many players missing, having to call on so many players to step up from the youth ranks to come into the first team squad for this one, but they lead by 2-0 with just over half an hour played. This one is an own goal. It was Tete who had scored the opening goal, clearly full of confidence, had a shot from the edge of the box. It was moving and Thibaut Courtois struggled to deal with it. He did get hands on it and parried it away. Charging on to get to that loose ball was the striker Dentinho. He looked favourite until Rafa Varane dangled a leg out. The Real Madrid defender flicking it back towards his own goal. His goalkeeper had absolutely no chance of keeping it out. He was down on his backside, and it goes into the back of the net. So Varane own goal has given Shakhtar a 2-goal advantage. And this will be one of the stories of match day 1 in this season's Champions League if Shakhtar can go on to get all 3 points. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 2. Yeah, they're coming, not satisfied with just 2. Down the left-hand side with Dentinho. He's going to work it back in field to Kornienko, but there's a good challenge in there, and Real now with the opportunity to break. It's Valverde, all on his own momentarily. Does now have a little bit of support in the shape of Asenio, who was fouled, and that will be a free kick to Real Madrid. Just tried to turn on the ball. I don't think any malice involved in the tackle, just a roll of the defender, and lost his footing in the process. What a story this is proving to be at the moment in the Spanish capital. Real Madrid need to find a response, and find a response quickly, if they're to come back in this game. Draw would probably turn out to be a good result now at this point, with around about 10 minutes to go until the break. They probably need to score once before half-time if they're to stand any chance of completely turning this one around and taking all 3 points from this clash. A remarkable game is playing out here. Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 2. Trubin now has a goal kick to take and is just ushering his teammates on forward down the field. It's a high hanging ball for someone to go and attack. It's won by the head of Militao. Can't find a teammate in the process though. Shakhtar then tries to come away down the right hand side and run into traffic. Valverde gets it across the field now to Mondi. I've got Karim Benzema on the bench tonight, Real Madrid. We've seen very little of Luka Jovic, who was trusted to start in his place for this evening's game. He's had one opportunity and it was a golden chance as well, one you feel that Benzema might have snaffled up himself. Header pretty much unchallenged from around about 7 or 8 yards out, on target but lacking power and any sort of placement. The Shakhtar player down at the moment with a potential injury. Looks to be a groin problem that's being tended to by the medical team. Look at where it came from here. It's two Shakhtar players who clash as Monti pulled off the Cruyff turn. Across came Dentinho, and I think he catches his foot in the turf, does the splits, and he's just possibly pulled his groin a little bit. So some fantastic shots of manager Luis Castro. Reaction to that second goal for Shakhtar. I don't think he can quite believe how this game is shaping up. Neither can those Real Madrid players, looking to bounce back today from what was their first defeat of the season. Won 4, drawn 1 and lost 1 coming into today's game. They'll be on course for their second defeat of the season. Shakhtar, as I mentioned earlier, should be much fitter due to the fact that following their exit from the Europa League last season in the semi-finals, they started their domestic season just 4 days later. That's been a bit of a mixed bag for them in the Ukrainian Premier League. Often the heavy favourites to go on and win it. They won by a country mile last campaign. But domestically, well, in the league, they've won 3 and drawn 3 so far this term. They lost to Dynamo Kiev in the Ukrainian Super Cup. Because they're going to kick off their Champions League campaign with a victory. They certainly have got a fantastic chance to do that. Still a long way to go and maybe plenty more pages to be written in this story. 38 minutes gone. Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar 2. Going back underway. Dentinho appears to be fine following that groin complaint. And they come down the left-hand side, Solomon, but it's a good challenge from Monti to put the ball into touch for the throw-in. Shakhtar certainly between now and half-time to take every opportunity to slow this game down and eat into that clock. Kornienko is going to come forwards to take this resulting throw, but has certainly not made any hurry of doing so. Even now with the ball in his hands, he's taking his time. Eventually it does go into play. Monti picks up possession but loses it just as quickly. There looks to be a foul there on Kornienko, but the referee says get on with it. They've still got the ball, Shakhtar, so happy for that advantage to go. But back into their own half and across to the right hand side. Drop back in now to Bondar and across to Kupchalava. Sent forward by the Georgian, headed away though by Militao. To Asenio. Modric presses the ball out to the right hand side for Rodrigo. Looks as though Rodrigo and Asenio switch flanks for the time being. Cross will come in. Low, cleared away at the near post. Monti will look to go and claim that loose ball and does, ahead of Dentinho. Crossing chance maybe from deep here for Marcello. Looks towards the far post. There's a man in acres of space. It's headed back across goal. There's appeals for offside. I think the flag may well have gone up, but the referee has allowed them just to go on with it. Shakhtar, as the possession is with them and the counter-attack very much on as well. Looking to break into the box. Varane gets a foot in. Courtois then will prevent the corner. Cleared away, but he looks so potent on the counter. Just think how maybe they could have even further improved on these 2 goals this evening had they had Junior Moraes in their ranks. 52 goals he's scored over the last 2 seasons in all competitions. Just looking back at that opportunity at the other end for Real Madrid, and Casemiro was actually onside when Marcello found him. To head it across goal rather than go at the target himself, but unable to latch onto it was Rodrigo. It was well defended by Shakhtar. They've got the ball in and around the edge of their own box now. 5 minutes to go until the break. We might have a minute of additional time on top of that as well. Shakhtar showing commitment as Marlos breaks away. He's held off the initial challenge of Militao and just took a bit too long on the ball. Militao comes back and wins it. clips the ball away, I should say, doesn't keep possession. He stayed down for a moment as well, seemingly picking up a little bit of a knock. Shakhtar have moved it across this left flank. Back through the middle then, in towards Macon. And Marlos, through to Antonio. Marlos once again, swivelling on the ball, going to the right-hand side, just inside Real Madrid territory. Now they drop back into their own half with Kochalava. Out to Solomon. Dribbles past one, and now it's really opened up in the heart of defence. Shakhtar breaking on forward, little back heel to the edge of the box. Can they get the shot away? They do! It's Shakhtar Donetsk who have got a 3-goal lead against Real Madrid. Who would have believed this? It's turned home, a really slick move, I think in the end by Solomon, who had started out proceedings on this left-hand side, but the Real Madrid defence is all over the place. No Sergio Ramos today, and they are severely missing their leader in the heart of defence. Zinedine Zidane can't believe it, neither can those Los Blancos players once again. More shakes of the heads. It's a lovely little back heel from Tete. He's having a fantastic game ever since he scored that goal. We barely saw him before, but he's had a role in all 3 of the goals that Shakhtar have scored. Solomon with a cute finish, cutting it back towards the left-hand side of goal. Courtois unable to get there. It is Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3, and it looks as though the Ukrainian side are now going to go on and pick up all 3 points in this game. Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium. It's turning out to be a fantastic evening's work for the visitors, the Ukrainian side, and this goal is fantastic. It is started off by the Israeli Solomon down the left-hand side. He charges on forward before rolling it into the feet of Tete, who'd come from right to left. In the process, he dragged Marcelo with him. The Real Madrid defence is all over the place, and it has been for the last 20 minutes or so. Tete picking up the ball, then back heels it into the path of Solomon, who keeps his composure in the box, cuts it back across the face of goal into the bottom left corner. Shakhtar Donetsk have a 3-0 lead away from home in this opening Champions League game against Real Madrid. I don't think anyone would have predicted that Shakhtar would be running away with proceedings in this manner tonight. But it has been a fantastic performance from them so far. They've been bold and bright in these opening stages, well, the opening half, I should say, of this game, and it looks as though they are going to stun Real Madrid tonight. Fantastic performance to this point. Luis Castro, I'm sure, will not know what to say to his men when he gets them in just a few minutes for that half-time break. It's going to be big smiles, it's going to be big pats on the back. Of course, there is still a full second half to come. I suppose that is worth bearing in mind, that it is not completed just yet, even though they are 3-0 up, but they've certainly given themselves every opportunity to go and claim the maximum points from this game under extraordinary circumstances in the Spanish capital. And this could prove to be a very tough group now for Real Madrid, even though it is only match day 1. Inter Milan also in the group, and they'll have that away trip to the Ukraine to Kiev, where they'll take on Shakhtar Donetsk at a later point. The Shakhtar Donetsk will likely be back to full strength when that return leg takes place in a couple of months' time. Here are Real Madrid just as we approach the half-time break. Around about 15 seconds left of the 45. Marcelo clips one into the box. Rodrigo with the head. It's up rather than a cross goal. Valverde then nods it down to Casemiro. Now Monzi needs a bit of support down this flank. He does eventually get it from Valverde, but instead goes infield. It's Casemiro through to Varane. 1 minute is the verdict of additional time at the end of this first half. We're just into that by seconds. Casemiro on the ball midway through the Shakhtar half. Nice little flick off by Valverde. Lovely cross in there from Rodrigo, but it's off a Shakhtar head, and now they'll just surely look to clear their lines here. Well, they still want to play out from the back. It's worked for them so far in this game. Header on forward from Real Madrid. Hooked away then by Bonzar. Equalising goal in the Group A game between Salzburg and Lokomotiv Moscow. Salzburg have scored through Hungarian Soboslai. Cross comes in now from Real Madrid. It's punched away by the goalkeeper Trubin. Finds a teammate in the process as well. The challenge comes back in from Real Madrid, but that will be a free kick, and that should take us through to the half-time break. We are done with that minute of additional time. Casemiro with a resigned look, and expect to see those sort of dejected looks on the faces of the Real Madrid players as they all now head down the tunnel. We're not going to get the free kick. The half-time break is upon us. An extraordinary opening 45 minutes in this Group B clash in the Champions League. Shakhtar given little chance of taking something from this game prior to kick-off, but Tete broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Rafa Varane then with an own goal in the 33rd minute. And they were in dreamland in the 42nd minute when Solomon was able to turn home and finish off a lovely flowing move. At half-time, it's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flowing move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flying move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flying move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flying move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flying move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flying move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flying move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave. In the 29th minute, Tete able to turn home after a lovely flying move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flying move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flying move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flying move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flying move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards in the Spanish capital. It's Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 at the half-time break. Real started brightly, lots of possession, but Shakhtar, with a depleted side today, were being bold and brave, counter-attacking every opportunity, and they broke the deadlock in the 29th minute. Tete able to turn home after a lovely flying move. It was an own goal then from Rafa Varane that gave them a 2-0 advantage in the 33rd minute before Solomon slotted home in the 42nd minute. It's 0-3. A huge upset on the cards. Well, we're back underway for the second half of this Champions League game, and what an opening 45 minutes we had. Real Madrid 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 3. You would have predicted that ahead of kick-off due to the issues that Shakhtar have gone through ahead of today's game, missing so many senior players after the club returned 17 positive tests for COVID-19, but they've shown spirit and endeavour and have got the rewards for it so far. Tete breaking the deadlock on the 29th minute. It was Varane then with an own goal on the 33rd minute before Solomon got the third goal shortly before half-time. A substitution made by Zinedine Zidane at the break. He's taken off Rodrigo. He's brought on Karim Benzema in the hope that the Frenchman can inspire them back into this game. Myself, Bobby Jackson, taking you through this clash as Real Madrid have an early opportunity. Cross comes into the box. It's headed behind for a corner kick, but I think Benzema had found himself in an offside position there, so it's a free kick to Shakhtar instead. I'll take you through the 11s then with that substitution. For Real Madrid, it's Courtois in goal. Then it's Mendy, Militao, Varane and Marcelo in the back line. Modric, Casemiro and Valverde through midfield with Benzema, Jovic and Asenio as the three in attack, although it's more likely to be a 4-4-2 now. They've played in that sort of formation already this season, Jovic and Benzema as the front two. And we'll see if they can link up to decent effect as this game develops. For Shakhtar, who are coming away, in fact I'll come to their teams in a moment because they're on the counter-attack but just not taking full opportunity as Tete is dispossessed, and he probably should have found his way through to goal. Good challenge by Militao, who covered a lot of ground there. They go with Trubin in goal, and it's Dodo, Kochalava, Bondar and Kornienko through defence. Molos, Macon, Antonio, Tete and Solomon at the midfield five, with Dentinho the man in attack. So let's see how we get on in this second half, with Real Madrid needing to respond. They need to get themselves a goal pretty sharpish if they are to find a way to turn this game around. Marcelo crossing from the left hand side, half headed away. Modric will come to try and meet it, and he's beaten to the ball, and it's actually really well defended in the end to prevent the corner as well. Out for a throw-in instead by Dodo. Modric is going to allow this throw to be taken by Marcelo. Go all the way back to Militao. Well, let's see, defensively Real Madrid on several occasions in that first 45. They may be even lucky that only trailing by 3 goals at this point. They did have a couple of chances themselves. Jovic with a header, Asenio with a low-driven shot that was saved. Shakhtar undoubtedly the better of the two sides, as the scoreline tells you. Here's Modric. Cross now to Valverde, poor first touch, and that just loses momentum in the move. They have to go back before they can come forwards, and they do that now through Casemiro out to Benzema. He's almost hugging this left touchline, not exactly where he wants to be. They won 4-0 the last time they hosted Shakhtar Donetsk, did Real Madrid. And Benzema opening the scoring on that evening at the Santiago Bernabeu. There's a hat-trick then from Cristiano Ronaldo. How much they could do with the Portuguese in their ranks at this time. Possibly he would be a man to dig them out of this hole. They have started this second half on the front foot. They had a lot of the possession in the opening 45 minutes and did little with it. A long-range effort now is parried away by Trubin. That'll go for the corner. It's a rifling shot that came from Asenio from a good 30 yards or so, possibly even a bit more than that. He's dipping away from the keeper, but he got two hands to it, the 19-year-old. Able to put it behind for the corner, which is now taken short by Asenio. Say short, it's whipped back towards Marcelo, who's deep. He whips it into the box himself. Headed away, and then the free kick won by Shakhtar. And referee Sergen Jovanovic felt there was a unfair challenge on Tete. It was Militao who just bundled into him. A good place to be in that Real Madrid dressing room at half-time. Zinedine Zidane, I imagine, would have had some stern words for his players. Let's not forget they take on Barcelona in El Clasico this weekend. Barcelona themselves not in the best of form. They did get a pretty emphatic win last night in the Champions League at home to Hungarian minnows French Varos. They were beaten in La Liga last weekend, 1-0 against Getafe. Not quite as embarrassing as Real Madrid losing to a newly promoted team in Cadiz. As it stands, they're on course to lose a second successive game, the first time they've lost 2 in a row across all competitions since back in February. Free kick wanted here by Dentinho, but referee says no. So Real Madrid throwing instead. He's not best pleased with the referee's decision this time around, but he's got to get himself back up and into position, because Real Madrid are moving the ball around out on the left-hand side with Asenio. To Modric, who almost turns into Dentinho, but manages to wriggle that ball away to Varane. Back out to Marcelo on the left. He's going to cross right-footed. Nice whip on the ball. Benzema might well have fouled there. In fact, sorry, it was Jovic who put the arm out. Shakhtar still get the header away. Solomon will lay this one back, and it's clipped over the top. And Shakhtar can look to break, and again they want a free kick. They're not going to get it. Real Madrid will come again. It's wave after wave at the moment for Real Madrid, but it's just over the head, the cross of Jovic, and now a chance to break down this right hand side. It's brought forward with a bit of vigour by Dodo, but he's stopped by Marcelo, pretty much playing as a winger at the moment. Asenio beats one man, then lays it off to Modric. He's going to drive it back down the left, rolls it infield to Asenio. Wanted the return ball, but Asenio just misjudged that pass. He fell to his backside as the ball rolled under his foot. Now Shakhtar need to clear their lines. They do. Percentage ball down the line. Header won though by Varane, who I think maybe caught that ball in the face a little bit. He's stepped away, rubbing his face. Now Benzema on the edge of the box. Comes through to Modric, who's challenged. He ends up on the deck, but it's no penalty. It's a good challenge. Shakhtar lose possession again. They're clinging on here. Of course 3-0 up, but clinging on in the early stages of this second half as they look to keep Real Madrid at bay. Longer they can frustrate and keep Real at arm's length, then they'll grow further in confidence. They went in at half time with their chests pumped out and their chins held high. Corner again is the same routine from Real Madrid. It's put back towards Marcelo, who might have a pop at goal. No, he hangs it up to the far post, headed back across goal by Varane. Benzema can't get there, it's hooked away. And now clipped back in by Valverde. Comes off a Shakhtar head. It will go out to this left-hand side towards Asenio. Back to Marcelo again on the inside left channel. Modric with a wriggle of the hips. Gets away from one. Now the shot comes in. It's a wonderful goal from Luka Modric, who finds the top right corner. He didn't have much else on, it seemed, at that moment, so pulled the trigger and might well have just pulled Real Madrid back into this Champions League tie. It is Real Madrid 1, Shakhtar Donetsk 3. Luka Modric has given Real Madrid hope of potentially getting back into this game with a wonderful effort from all of 30 yards out. He glides past a couple of players on the edge of the box. He had plenty of white shirts inside the area, none of them seemingly free or able to be found with a pass, so he pulled the trigger himself, sort of cuts across the ball a little bit, and it rifles into the top right corner. Goalkeeper Trubin was rooted to the spot. He was never going to get there. It has been a positive start from Real Madrid in the early stages of this second half. Benzema brought on at the break in the place of Rodrigo. They've spent all of the 10 minutes thus far inside Shakhtar territory, and it is now Real Madrid 1, Shakhtar Donetsk 3. Here comes Shakhtar trying to get forward themselves, and it's an interception that just about prevents Dentinho from getting a shot away. This game could become very wide open in this second period. Real Madrid have got to commit bodies to the attack. Shakhtar, of course, will want to defend if possible, but they're going to be up against it. But in Real Madrid committing bodies forward, that subsequently is going to leave gaps for Shakhtar on the counter. And it looks as though we are set for a very good second half, as Shakhtar come out to the left-hand side with Dodo. Rolled back in towards the skipper, Marlos. And he'll open it up through into the midfield then. A bit of space to run into for Antonio. Helps it further out to that left-hand side, and crossing chance now for the fullback, who's actually beaten his man. Cut back, shot comes in. Oh, it's just wide of the near post. He had to be taking that one. It was fantastic work by Kornienko to not just get to the byline, but then the presence of mind to get around Monti. He cuts it back to the edge of the box. Two Shakhtar players go for it. Looked to be a combination of Antonio and Dentinho. Not entirely certain who unleashed that final shot, but either way, one of them should have been putting it into the back of the goal and re-establishing that 3-goal advantage for Shakhtar. Kornienko's had a fantastic game at left-back this evening, just 21 years of age. He was yellow-carded very early on, and you thought that might be difficult for him to come back from. You felt he'd be under a lot of pressure defensively, but no, he's shown fantastic endeavour, certainly on the front foot. It was Tete, actually, just going back to that chance, who took it off the toes of Dentinho. In fairness, he did look in a good position. He had every right to go for it, but he also had to put it in the back of the net. That chance come back to haunt Shakhtar as this game goes on. Real will certainly hope so. They're coming forward down the right-hand side. Senyo into Monti. Goes to the edge of the box with Casemiro. Under pressure, the Brazilian lays it back in towards Varane. Monti down the line, crossing chance now for Valverde. Trubin will collect that one under a little bit of pressure, but not enough that he was going to be forced into spilling or making a mistake. And Shakhtar come away. The ball bowled out quickly into Dentinho. Now committed to defence. Dentinho was on the edge of his own box there when he picked up the ball. He is the centre forward. Looks as though we're going to get another change for Real Madrid in just a moment. Zinedine Zidane obviously delighted that his side have got back into it, but still wants to see a little bit more. It's Vinicius Jr., the very exciting Brazilian who's down on the touchline. Might well be Luka Jovic who is pulled off in the place of Vinicius, but we'll wait and see. At the moment, Shakhtar are trying to come forward themselves. Dodo with an attempted cross. It comes off the underside of Marcelo's legs. And now Real playing it around the edge of their own box as they look to work their way down the field. Fizzed out to the right-hand side with Valverde. And he's given space and time to come back centrally in towards the centre circle. Now they'll come left with Marcelo. Vinicius waits patiently just behind Marcelo, who switches the play. Lovely ball there to the far side to find Benzema. Two-way in the middle. Benzema does eventually try the cross. It's blocked out as far as Valverde. There's an offside flag up though, and that will bring an end to the move. I think Benzema was the man offside initially, but as is the case with VAR in play, the officials just wait a moment or two to allow them the move to play out. And I think Benzema's attempted cross blocked away. I felt the time was right to raise the flag. It is Jovic who goes off, so Vinicius on in his place, more of a wide player, so I might see Real Madrid go back to more of a 4-3-3, and he's actually just nicked the ball here immediately, and he comes on and scores. What an introduction to the game that is from Vinicius Jr. He knows this stadium very well from his time with the Castilla, and his first touch is to put the ball into the back of the Shakhtar goal. It's Real Madrid 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 3, and the Ukrainian sides, the architects of their own downfall. They tried to play out from the back. Vinicius takes it off the toes of the captain Marlos before bursting into the box and rolling it beyond the goalkeeper Trubin to give Real Madrid a real route back into this game. It's Real Madrid 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 3 with 59 minutes played, and it's a fantastic introduction to the game for the Brazilian wide man Vinicius Jr. He'd only just come onto the field of play, replacing Luka Jovic, and his first touch is to steal the ball off the toes of Shakhtar captain Marlos, who was round about 5 or 6 yards outside his own box. When he'd lost the ball, the Shakhtar defence wasn't set to deal with what was to come after. Vinicius drives into the area and then coolly slots it home. That's the introduction that he wanted and the impact that Zinedine Zidane hoped he might have. Vinicius Jr. scores. It's Real Madrid 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 3. He felt that this game still had lots more drama to come, and that has proven to be the case. It is the old cliche of a game of two halves, with Shakhtar 3-0 up at the break. An hour gone now, and Real Madrid find themselves within touching distance of being back on level terms, with still plenty of time left to go. And Real Madrid, you'd fancy, should be good for at least a draw in this one now, if not a little bit more. Half an hour to play. They will fancy themselves to go and get a couple of goals in that time frame. They've got two in the first 15 minutes of this second half. Here they come, looking to carve open Shakhtar. He might well have been a little bit complacent with a 3-0 lead. It's Varane through to Modric, midway through the Shakhtar half, very central, fizzes it out towards Marcelo, dabbed into the box. Vinicius picks it up, and he's out towards Benzema, two wait in the middle, Marcelo one of them. Modric now arrives edge of the box. He picks up possession but miscontrols. Shakhtar try to come out, but they lose possession again. There's been far too much of that from Shakhtar in the second half. Edge of the box now with Senyo. Across towards Monzi. Back to Senyo, who's just dropped off the forward line to offer his services. Work it back to that right flank with Valverde. Monzi to the halfway line. And now Modric, Marcelo has got the option to come further wide to this left with Vinicius Jr., but opts to go infield instead. Now Vinicius does get it. Looks a 1-2 on the edge of the box with Casemiro. Vinicius then drops the shoulder, looks to drive to the byline. Might come here for Benzema's shot. He's blocked away behind for a corner. And they're just creaking under the pressure more and more are Shakhtar Donetsk. Great ambitious play from Vinicius Jr. It was scrappy defending from Dodo, who felt he was fouled. More looked like he lost his footing than anything else under the pressure from the Brazilian. Benzema then looked to profit from what was a loose ball in the box. Marcelo swings across in, headed away by Shakhtar. They can score the next goal. Hope will be restored that they can pull off a shock result in this game. Edge of the area now, maybe a shooting chance, and it's over the bar. It was ambitious stuff from Eder Militao, the centre-back who had stayed forward. Showed the confidence of a centre-forward as he brought the ball down in space, about 25 yards out. Little Cruyff turn, but then showed the execution of a centre-back as he blazed it over the crossbar. It's been non-stop helter-skelter stuff in the second period. In fact, since the 20th minute of this game, it's been non-stop. Shakhtar opening up that 3-0 advantage to half-time. Real Madrid have come out re-energised and revitalised in this second period. Clean slate. There might be a chance here for Shakhtar if the flag stays down. Saved though by Courtois. It was a fantastic chance for Tete. He was played through. Looked as though he had beaten the offside trap. It was certainly fine margins. Yeah, he appeared to be off the back of Eder Militao and just couldn't. He wanted it on his left foot all the time. He couldn't quite get his feet right, and in the end he sort of falls as he strikes, and Courtois is able to save. Had a couple of chances like that, Shakhtar, in the second half that they really needed to have taken, because Real Madrid are up and at it now. Good work there defensively from Militao. Pushes the ball into touch and gets his side a throw in. It's taken quickly. Urgency is key for Real Madrid at this point. Back into Varane. Cross to Militao. And then Modric. Only a backwards pass in the second period from Real. Intercepted and taken away by Antonio. This time is fouled, and that will be a free kick to Shakhtar, and we'll just relieve the pressure for a moment. It's been an incredible second half so far. Very much a game of two halves, the old cliche, as Real Madrid have scored twice in quick succession to give themselves hope of taking something from this game. They look down and out, 3-0 adrift at the break, but it's now Real Madrid 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 3. Shakhtar are still getting openings on the counter. Two that they should have taken. Both have fallen to Tete, who opened the scoring this evening. The first of them, after some really good work by Kornienko down the left, he beat the fullback Mondi, was able to cut it back towards Tete, arriving on the ball perfectly. He just put it wide of the post when he had to score. His second again was a golden chance. It was played in behind the Real Madrid defence, which is wide open still, as it was in the opening 45. He was through on goal. He always wanted to move it onto his left foot, and he was just struggling to do that with the pressure starting to grow behind him from Eder Militao. And ultimately he did squeeze a shot away, but it was tame, it was straight down the middle, and it was comfortably saved by Courtois. Fantastic energy about this game. Who knows how it might end. Just over 65 minutes played. It's Real Madrid 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 3. We see Real Madrid now working out to this left-hand side for Vinicius Jr. Comes back through into the middle, and Benzema peels off the front line before laying it off. Trying to keep the momentum building. There's an offside in the end for Mondi out on the left flank. And Shakhtar, as was suggested in the first half, will take the opportunity more so now to slow this game down. Getting away with this free kick, and they've won another one as Rafa Varane has just gone right through a Shakhtar player who stayed down on the floor. I expect that the physios might be invited onto the field of play here. There's a nudge in the back. It wasn't anything serious, but he stayed down as Dentinho. He did have a bit of a groin issue in the first half, actually. He seems to be just feeling that area at the moment. Looks as though Real Madrid are preparing another change. Mike will be back down the touchline there. Try and confirm that for you in a moment. That would give them even more chance to dictate play in that middle third. Here they come forward at the moment anyway with Vinicius Jr. Bit of a poor pass in the vicinity of the penalty area. Sees them lose out possession. I think it is Toni Kroos that's set to come on the bench, by the way. They've got Lucas Vazquez, Kroos, Nacho, Altuve and Isco, along with Lunin. Altuve and Lunin are both backup goalkeepers, and Lunin, incidentally, Ukrainian. I'm sure would love to take to the field to play. But seems extremely unlikely. Lucas Vazquez, though, you'd imagine might be an option to look towards as further attacking threat as this game gets towards its latter stages. And Bobby Jackson bringing you what's been an extraordinary game at the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium, Real Madrid's training base, where they're currently playing their football with no fans able to get in matches. They've taken the opportunity to have the Santiago Bernabeu refurbished. They're playing at this training ground for the time being. It hasn't fared them too well over the last week or so, but maybe that's about to change in the latter stages of this game if they can get another goal or two. Shakhtar themselves, though, trying to break at the moment. Pass there is slightly overhits this right-hand side. And Real Madrid will come back with Marcelo. Vinicius pulls out wide to this left and is able to pick up possession. Two wait in the middle as the cross comes in, headed away initially by Bonzar. Comes straight back though, flicked over the top, and it's headed back to his goalkeeper. Really good play by Valery Bonzar. Marco Asenio was just lurking in behind. It's that type of composure that has just been a little bit absent from the Shakhtar side in this second period. Worth noting, by the way, that they are yet to make a change in this game, and you probably shouldn't be too surprised by that due to the fact that Their bench is primarily made up of players who have never played against an outfit the stature of Los Blancos. The change now made by the home side. It is Luka Modric off and Toni Kroos on in his place. Modric, the man who started this potential comeback for Real Madrid. That rifling effort up into the top right corner of the goal. Vinicius Jr. with the second to really give them hope of snatching something from the shores of defeat. And Toni Kroos will have to pull the strings as much as possible. The Germany international now on the ball. Plays it out with purpose towards Marcelo. Now Benzema. Back into Kroos. Everything, I imagine, will go through the German in these closing stages. And they need to recycle play and just keep themselves ticking over. 10 attempts for Real Madrid in this game, 5 on target. 7 attempts for Shakhtar with 6 on target as Real come down the right. Losing the ball there was Mondi. 70 minutes played. Real Madrid 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 3. Mondi back into Militao. Now Kroos. Back to Marcelo again. Vinicius. Slow him down to Vinicius, and now Militao comes across this left-hand side with Asenio. Marcelo offers himself up, has got space to turn into, looks for the return ball to Asenio. It was headed away and then put out for a throw-in. That will be Shakhtar's opportunity to restart. Marcelo applauding the efforts of his teammates as they were looking to build in that passage of play just a moment ago. The end product that they desired. Dodo to take this throw. Down the line it goes. And it comes straight back to Dodo, who heads into the central area of his own half, and that's gone into Real Madrid possession. Turn on the ball from Valverde. Referee says it was a fair challenge as he loses out. That one won't be a fair challenge though. In fact, no, referee happy for a second one to go too, and Shakhtar launched the ball forward. And Tino is making chase. He wants to let it go for the throw and does really well there under pressure from Varane. Some full-blooded challenges starting to take place in midfield. Initially it was Antonio on Valverde. It looked to be a foul when we had a second glance at the replay, but referee believed that one was taken. Kornienko, the left back, will take this throw, or eventually will take this throw. Now it's into the field of play, a good 30 seconds or so after they won the set piece. Now another throw as Dentinho is dispossessed by Varane. Under pressure himself, diminutive wide man. He goes back towards the halfway line. Out towards the right-hand side. Really well worked by Shakhtar, trying to find the space, and there's plenty of it out there. Comes down the right-hand side now. Tete round the back once again. He's just muscled off the ball initially. Good work by Militao. He finds Kroos. Often he has been able to just get that half yard of space behind the defenders. Tete this time there, Militao read it better. Something they have been guilty of tonight, Real. Not aware of those runs made around them. Imagine that wouldn't have been the case with Ramos in the heart of defence. Kroos loses possession here, really strong but fair challenge from Tete. And shows good footwork as well, a nutmeg on Valverde. Out to Dentinho and Antonio. Solomon will take it on further. Kornienko with him too. Real Madrid players there trying to charge down and win the ball, and they do. Benzema picks up possession. He's been dragged all over the place, but manages to evade eventually the challenge of Antonio. The referee has pulled it back though for the free kick. Felt that it had become a little bit too much really to allow play to continue. Free kick taken short into Valverde. Now Kroos head up looking for where the options are, and Monzi is the one who feels his best at this moment in time. Down the line it goes to Vinicius. Crossing chance for the Brazilian. Far too much on that. It's going to trickle out for a throw-in on the near side of the pitch as we look at things. Zidane is maybe considering another change. They have, of course, got licence to make 5 substitutions in European competition this season. One of the changes that was made after football restarted last term in the majority of domestic leagues and in the European competition too. Been dropped and reverted back to 3 substitutions in the Premier League, but UEFA felt that it was right to keep the 5 substitutions in of the Champions League and Europa League, so maybe a few more aces up the sleeve for Zidane. They are still trailing by a goal, but in a much better position than they found themselves in when they trundled off at half-time 3-0 down. Here's Cruz on the ball, switch of play out to the right-hand side for Asenio. Into Valverde instead, good footwork from him to drive into the box, then the cross is intercepted. So many orange shirts there, it's difficult to find the space in and around the 6-yard box, and now it's clipped over the top, and Shakhtar have got the chance to break with the captain Marlos. Hasn't got a lot of running left in those legs, it would seem. He just slows it down, waited for support to arrive, but as he did that, he was surrounded by players. He's done well to win his side a free kick. Vinicius Jr. just having a nibble at his legs, and that'll do for the time being, and just allows the game to be broken up a little bit. One of the more veteran players in this side, so using that experience to his advantage there. The 32-year-old has been at Shakhtar since back in 2014 when he joined from Metalist Kharkiv. Another game ongoing at the moment, by the way, in the Champions League, and there is a latest goal to tell you about. It's now 2-2 between Salzburg and Lokomotiv Moscow. The second equalising goal for Lokomotiv Moscow coming from Isakovic. Later on this service tonight, you can also hear commentary of games between Ajax and Liverpool, Bayern Munich and Atletico Madrid, and Manchester City Porto, all in the Champions League, and all 8 PM kickoffs at 7:45, so not too far away. In the Championship, it's Sheffield Wednesday against Brentford. All of those games available on this service, and we'll begin after this one comes to its conclusion. It's been a cracker to get the night going, with Real Madrid trailing by 3-2 on home soil against Shakhtar Donetsk. 13 minutes remain. Possession with Real Madrid, and Cruz finds Asenio quickly out towards Vinicius Jr. on this left-hand side. The changes certainly had an impact for Los Blancos. Cruz on the ball again. Vinicius in a little bit of space, does deliver a better ball this time. Monti with the header, and it's wide at the far post. He feels there might well have been a hand in there. Well, we have got VAR. If that is the case, it will be looked at. I wonder if it even has taken a touch on its way through. No, it's gone behind, and it should be a corner, but yeah, it is a corner. There was no hand in there. Hands were firmly placed behind the back from the defender Kornienko. The block was made legally. Here's Marcello on the ball. Corner kick not well taken by Real. Block away then from Shakhtar has forced Real Madrid all the way back to goalkeeper Courtois. Work it out towards the right hand side with Monzi. And off to Varane. Regathered a more orthodox type shape, or orthodox for this game. Players all over the place and in different positions as to where we're used to seeing them. That's because they're playing a bit of desperation football. There's Monzi on the right hand side. Will cross with that favoured left foot of his. It's been difficult for him on that right flank today. Not had the opportunity often to cut back onto the left foot, but that time he did. Cleared away though still. And he heads back towards the Shakhtar goal, but that one is going to go all the way through to the goalkeeper Trubin. He's happy just to allow it to roll for as long as possible before Benzema puts a bit of pressure on. Into the final 10 minutes of this clash. Real Madrid 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 3. Toni Kroos has been brought on for Real Madrid to give them a little bit more presence in that middle third. We'll just break off because here comes Shakhtar breaking on forward again. If they can get it across the face of goal, oh, that should be that. They've got themselves a fourth goal, and you'd imagine that's going to be enough to see them through. Or has the flag gone up when it was played out towards the left-hand side? Yeah, it's Tete. He's ahead of the last man. He's maybe a yard and a half inside opposition territory. It's really clever play from Marcelo, who initially stepped with him and realised what was about to take place, and he jumped back into his own half, leaving Tete all alone in opposition territory. And the flag went up reluctantly, but belatedly rather, but correctly. Into the final 10. Shakhtar have just had a goal ruled out after Tete was ruled to be offside. The flag stayed down, the move allowed to play out, as is the case nowadays. He got to the byline, cut it back, and it was turned home by the skipper Marlos, only to then it was clever defending from Marcelo, who stopped on the halfway line, allowed Tete to make the run into the Real Madrid half of the field, and with that the flag rightly raised. You feel that there is going to be gaps and openings in these closing stages for Shakhtar to try and take advantage of. That has been the case in the second half, but there's some very tired legs out there. Shakhtar are yet to make a substitution. Not a great surprise. They've got a depleted squad today. Majority of the bench is made up by teenagers who have never even made a senior appearance for Shakhtar, never mind in the Champions League. Real Madrid are still controlling possession and territory, but there's been some rugged and committed defending that's just about keeping them at bay. Real have also brought on Toni Kroos in the place of Luka Modric. Fresh legs in that midfield, hoping he can pull the strings and dictate the play. But at the moment, Shakhtar just about doing enough to hang on to what will be a historic victory away at Real Madrid. Real Madrid 2, Shakhtar 3. Real on the edge of their own box at the moment. Looked forward into the feet of Kroos, who opens it up out towards the right-hand side. Taken on further then by Benzema, who would come deep to get himself involved in the play. Out now for Marcelo, who's shaped to go back to Benzema, and does at the second attempt. He's might be a foul there. Referee has seen an infringement by Toni Kroos. Don't think there's going to be a card to follow. It was flicked away by Dodo. Kroos had stepped in to try and make the challenge, but in doing that, just caught enough of the man. So Shakhtar with a free kick inside their own half. We are going to get a yellow card here to a Shakhtar player, and I think that's for a bit of time wasting. I'm not too surprised that that is starting to take place. It's more and more. It's Bontar who joins Viktor Kornienko in having his name taken by the referee, Srdjan Jovanovic. Here come Real Madrid. They picked up possession rather cheap from that Shakhtar free kick. Vinicius into the box. His attempted shot is blocked away there. It's going to go behind for the corner. Bontar getting himself down quickly to provide a barrier and stop Vinicius from getting that shot in on target. But the corner kick's a follow. Toni Kroos has made his way out to that far right-hand side. So it'll be the outswinger from the right boot of the Germany international. But go the heads. It's off a Shakhtar one. The loose ball will be retrieved by Marco Asenio. The Spaniard fizzes it into the box, but Marlos is there to block. Carried out then, and now he's into open space, but Marcelo comes across sharply and wins the ball back for Real. Good, tenacious stuff from the man with the captain's armband on today. He's been a shining light all the way through, and he might have a chance here. Cross comes in, it's just over his head, and will eventually come through into the hands of goalkeeper Trubin. Not quite sure what Marcelo is appealing for there, but he's got his arms up and a hopeful glance across to the referee. Nothing going though. Varane will pick up possession for Real. Marcelo is now playing almost as number 10 at times. Central areas of the field here. Such is the the way this game is shaping up, it's kitchen sink time for Real Madrid. We've got Dentinho down, so the referee has stopped play. Shakhtar player has hit the deck, and I think requires a bit of treatment. Who was appealing for a penalty was Marcelo. The ball flicked off the back of his head and might well have brushed the arm of Kochalova. He's down by his side and certainly no movement towards the ball. It does appear we might be about to get the first substitution of the game for Shakhtar. Possibly in the place of Dentinho, who, again, not for the first time in this game, has done the splits, and it's the third time that he's required treatment for his groin. That might be just the final time, the last straw for him. He's being helped off the side of the field and isn't moving too comfortably. I don't want him to be out for any period of time due to the fact that they are missing some senior players at the moment. The man who would have started ahead of him tonight in attack, Junior Moraes, not available after a positive COVID-19 test. Tyson, another attacking player, also unavailable due to the same reason. The end of Dentinho's game. He's run that line heroically. It's going to be Georgi Sadakov who comes on in his place for the final stages of this game. An 18-year-old midfielder who is going to go up at the top. He's one of those that I mentioned before hasn't yet made a senior appearance for Shakhtar Donetsk. He's turned out on 6 occasions for the under-21s over last season and this, and now comes on for the final 5 minutes as his side Shakhtar Donetsk look to hang on for a historic win against European royalty, that is Real Madrid. It's going to be a yellow card here for a Real Madrid player. There was a strong challenge from Militao. The ball was then kicked into touch and away by Marcelo. I think he's lucky possibly to escape without a booking himself. Madrid man to go into the referee's notebook. It's a full-blooded challenge, a no-nonsense type tackle from the centre-back who was high up the pitch. He was trying to retrieve possession after it had just been lost by Vinicius Junior. Some great trickery from him to leave 2 Shakhtar defenders for dead. He was then stopped on the edge of the box by Marlos. Real players feeling he was fouled as he lost the ball, but I don't think that was the case. Referee certainly didn't think so. And into the final 3 minutes then. Less likely to go and snatch all 3 points, which pulled 2 back by the hour mark, you felt might still be on the cards. Wouldn't rule out a draw though. And if they can get this equalising goal in the next minute, who knows, maybe a win still is on the cards. They've won a corner here. Cruz trying to find Benzema in the box, but it's put behind for the set piece. Fire ahead. That's exactly why Cruz was brought onto the pitch, for that type of pinpoint passing, asking serious questions of the Shakhtar defence. Corner to be taken by Asenio on that far side of the field. Referee's going to have a word with Eder Militao here. Feels the defender is handing over a bit of rough treatment. Corner comes in, it's sliced off the hand of Trubin. It's going to go out for a throw-in on this near side of the field. Not convincing. Goalkeeper has looked 18 years old, making his Champions League debut. Mistakes can be ill-afforded at the moment by Shakhtar, with all that playing on his mind. Almost expect a mistake or two. Ball into the box by Real Madrid, but it was a hopeful looped ball and cleared away. Monti will put it out to the right-hand side for Asenio. Drop of the shoulder, beats one man. Back to Monti. A crossing chance for Real. In the ball goes, it's straight into the hands of Trubin. 5 players Real Madrid had in the box there, but none of them able to get close enough to it. And product wasn't too spectacular. Shakhtar coming away now. They've got Marlos is carrying the ball, but again using that experience, one of the few out there with a huge amount of it. Slows it down, waits for players to creep up the pitch, works it out to the left hand side. Little 1-2. See Shakhtar drop it back into their own half. Sudakov, a substitute, getting his first touch of the ball a couple of minutes after his introduction. It's not really been down that end of the field too often. Marcelo down the line for Vinicius, who rolls it through the legs of the defender. Now getting to the byline, looks for the low cutback cross. It's cleared at the near post. Good tracking back there from Macon. Holding midfielder filling in defence just to add further bodies and prevent Real from grabbing this equaliser, which will be so disheartening, so frustrating for Shakhtar. Into the ball, into the box. The ball goes now with Benzema. Back to Marcelo. Clip towards the far post, headed away. Clinging on at the moment, Shakhtar, but it's just about working for them. I wonder if this pressure is going to tell. 3 minutes additional time. The board goes up. They can almost taste this victory. A block away on that far side has gone behind for another corner. There might be a dead leg that follows. It was Solomon who threw his body into the way. The ball, I think, hit him on the back of the leg, on the back of the thigh. That one will be a bit of a stinger, I imagine, especially when he's been running around as frantically as he and his Shakhtar teammates have been since the first whistle. The scenes at the full-time whistle will be something to behold if Shakhtar can hold on for this one. The medical team are on the field of play. Tony Kroos is trying to make the argument that he's only 5 or 6 yards from the touchline. He could just roll off the pitch, but I don't think that's the favoured option for Solomon, who probably is okay. He's up to his feet now in a bit of a limp as he makes his way off the side of the pitch, but it's eaten up 30 seconds. In fact, he's going to be substituted. That's twice now that a man has gone down and subsequently been substituted. Vitao is going to come on in his place for the closing stages. So Solomon off and Vitao on as Real Madrid prepare to take this corner. A 20-year-old Vitao and another that has very little first-team experience, just 4 senior outings for Shakhtar Donetsk. Corner taken short to the edge of the box. It's drilled. Oh, and it's gone through the legs of the goalkeeper, Trubin. That is one he will not want to remember. It's Valverde who hits it low and firm towards the target. Trubin, you'd argue, should be keeping that one out, but it's somehow squirmed through his body and into the back of the net. Real Madrid have themselves back on level terms. It was a lovely cutback to the edge of the box. Is there an argument here that there might be a man blocking the goalkeeper's view? In fact, no. It comes off another player in the process. It's Valverde who off another Real Madrid player. This one is going to be checked. There might be a reprieve here for Shakhtar. The goalkeepers. It's been a game that's had drama right from the outset. The goal is not going to stand. Referee has had a couple of looks at this one. Offside is his decision, and it remains Real Madrid 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 3. We're going to see another how incredible this performance has been. A victory for Shakhtar. Have never seen senior football in their lives, and they are moments away. It has come good in the end. They were 3-0 up at half-time. Tete with the opener, Varane an own goal, and Solomon then on the stroke of half-time. Real Madrid were back in it through Modric and Junior Vinicius by the hour mark, and a goal ruled out for offside. Then 92 minutes on the clock, and Shakhtar get all 3 points to kick off their Champions League campaign. Real Madrid stunned, Shakhtar Donetsk win.